No, there we go. That's probably a funny intro if you've never seen one of my videos before. I always try to get a good clap in. We're on point now. What's going on, guys? So I just want to talk to you a little bit about flow state and deep work. You might have heard this already. I think it would be a helpful concept for you to understand if you haven't already heard of it, right? So you've probably already experienced flow state and or deep work before. It's when you've been doing an activity and time seems to sort of just stop, right? Like, or not that it stops, but it's flowing so freely, like you're not even thinking about like how long you've been doing it. It's easy for you to just produce something awesome, right? Like whether that's like you were feeling like things were going really smooth and flowing well while you're playing a sport, or maybe you were playing music, right? Like maybe you know how to play an instrument, maybe something like that, or even just something work related, like traditionally work, like maybe during your job or something that you were working on for your business, just something a little more like work associated in your head. Maybe like there's times where, for example, you're not in flow state and you can feel like you like want to finish the task, or you want to come up with ideas and get it all down, finish it, but it's like you're struggling, like you're not really getting anywhere, versus times when it's just been like, man, boom, 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 like it's just flowing, it's going really easily. And I want to highlight the importance of this. And you might think, well, of course that's important. It's great when you can just be productive and flow and easily get work done, right? Or easily do the task, like music or a sport, like, and you're just in the zone, like it feels effortless, right? And you wonder, how can I enter that state all the time? Well, it's not necessarily difficult or easy necessarily, but I want to come up with some things that might be able to help you enter it more often, especially if you're someone who struggles with that, right? So a lot of people will sit down to do a task and be like, oh, it's not working, and then they give up, right? Or they a really great example of this actually is the remote work or work from home culture that started a few years ago. And basically a lot of people were discovering that they could finish an 8 hour or more workday. Like whenever they went into the office, it was like 8 hours, 9, 10, 11, 12, whatever they did. They discovered that when they worked remotely, that they were able to condense their workday down by a lot because there were no distractions, number one, and they were just more easily able to like boom, 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 get the task done, focused, right? Now, I think there are some benefits to having, like, let's say like a work culture and being able to collaborate with coworkers. I think it's probably a huge difference between that and then like, a lot of people joke about like the unnecessary work meeting, or like, like office talk, like they're just talking to you about whatever, rather than you actually like getting work done. And I think you can be really productive and probably have deep work too with a collaborator, like between two people. But that requires you both be very focused and in sync. Like, let's go, feeling at ease. And I know this video probably seems a little scatterbrained to you, but I just want to get this idea out to you about the importance of it. So, if it's difficult for you to enter flow state or deep work, it might be because of some of the reasons we just mentioned, like distractions. So that means that maybe, let's say it's outside of work, right? Like there's something you want to do to be productive when you're done with your, let's say, normal 9 to 5 or normal work day. Like you're starting a business or something else, or whatever it is, you would need a time of no distractions, like a certain like time block, number one. And it might benefit you on top of that to maybe do a quick meditation beforehand. And trust me, if you're one of the people who's like, meditation, I don't know, that sounds like too spiritual, woo woo. I was that guy forever until I realized that it was simply a tool that I could use to more effectively focus during my day, right? So like, instead of this thought comes by, instead of overthinking, thinking about that, focusing, putting my energy on that, I can allow it to go by. Be like, that's not important right now, right? So that's super important for you to be able to get in touch. Like, you're not thinking about everything you have to do in the future, whatever happened in the past. Actually becoming present so that you can enter this flow state. So if you can start just focusing like on your breath and what's going on right now, it's going to be a lot easier for you to start working easily. I keep doing that today. I don't know why. I like to say the word necessarily, easily. Anyways, maybe I'm not in flow state enough. Or maybe it's this coffee. I meant to get it with no sugar. That's probably why. But I digress. Basically, think about things like that, right? So meditation, great example. Or if you don't want to think about it like meditation, think about sitting in silence for 5, 10, 15 minutes. Usually I just go for 10 because it's like pretty quick, pretty easy. And the reason for that is because you probably don't think about this too often, but most of us go through our days just distracted. And we don't always think it's distraction, but we've got all these stimuli coming at us all the time. And if you don't have any time to yourself during the day, like legitimate time to yourself, right? Like not checking emails, not doing this for somebody, not walking around outside when it's really busy, right? Like you get all these sensory stimuli all day. And so you're listening to something, you're watching something, whatever it is, right? I think a really great example is like people will be like, well, I'm getting time to myself if I'm going out on a walk. But then they have like their music in, or like a podcast or an audiobook. And don't get me wrong, I like doing that as well. But what if you just took a walk without those things? Right? Like being alone with your thoughts. Especially, let's just take it another step further, right? So a walk where you're just focusing on your present, what's going on around you, not the music, not a podcast, just enjoying nature. It's going to help you reset and enter a flow state more easily. On top of that, the reason that I think it's important, like a lot of people have said this before, the people who like they're like, oh, that's crazy, you wake up at 3, 4, 5 a.m., whatever, hustle work culture, blah blah blah. It's not about the hard work or the work, like the hustle culture, right? It's about having uninterrupted time before everyone else is awake, where it's quiet and you can listen to yourself. Nobody's talking to you. You're not checking your phone. No emails. And I know this video went off on a bit of a tangent, but this will all help you enter that state of deep work. Because sometimes that state of deep work actually comes from something beforehand, like meditation or maybe even just taking a break, like you're sitting at the computer, like I'm gonna work, and then it's not working. You actually getting out, like on a walk, like in a park, a beach, even just in your neighborhood. A lot of times, for some weird reason, our brains work like that. Like the ideas or the answers will start coming to us when we step away from the desk or whatever it is to go outside, right? Maybe you're like driving to the gym and like all of a sudden all the ideas that you wanted earlier when you were at the desk, they start coming to you. So the whole point of this video is so that if you spend a lot of your time being really busy and working really long days, etc., I just want you to think about the impact that like this flow state or deep work might have on your life if you can actually start implementing it, right? Like what people heard from a lot of work from home or remote worker people, just like that crowd, right, was that what they were usually doing in 8 to 12 hours or more, like during their workday, they were accomplishing in like 4 hours, right? And don't get me wrong, I think you can work smart and hard at the same time. So this video is really just to present this idea to you so you can start thinking about how to incorporate it in your life and make things easier for yourself. Maybe you can be way more productive and get in the direction that you really want to go. I hope this helps. You got this.